Once in a coastal town, there lived a mechanic named Ravi. He ran a small garage near the docks and had 2 daughters. The younger, Priya, was sharp-tongued and bold, while the elder, Meera, was quiet, observant, and often kept to herself. People praised Priya for being confident and clever. She could negotiate prices, speak to customers with ease, and always seemed to get what she wanted. Meera, however, was often overlooked. She avoided confrontation, spoke softly, and preferred working at the back of the garage, fixing engines in silence. Some customers whispered that Meera was slow or strange. Even Ravi, though he loved both daughters, often lost patience with Meera. "You need to toughen up," he'd say. "The world doesn't wait for shy people." But Meera never argued. She just lowered her eyes and went back to work. One day, Ravi had to leave town unexpectedly for 3 days. He called Priya and said, "You're in charge of the garage. Keep everything running." But Priya had other plans. That night, she told Meera, "I've got a beach party this weekend. You'll have to manage the shop. It's just a couple of days. You'll be fine." "But I don't know how to deal with the customers," Meera replied, nervous. "Figure it out. It'll be good for you," Priya said, already walking away. The next morning, Meera opened the garage, heart pounding. Her first customer was a tourist with a broken-down scooter. She stammered while speaking, unsure how to explain the issue. The man, irritated, shouted at her and walked off. Another customer bargained aggressively, and Meera agreed to a price that barely covered the cost. By evening, she felt overwhelmed, defeated. The accounts didn't balance, and she could already hear her father's disappointment. That night, she sat by the harbor, staring at the waves. For the first time, she felt like maybe the world really wasn't meant for someone like her. Just then, an old fisherman sat beside her. He noticed her eyes swollen with tears. "Rough day?" he asked. Meera nodded. "I can't do it," she whispered. "I'm not like my sister. I'm not strong." The fisherman smiled. "Let me tell you something," he said. "When I was younger, I couldn't swim. But one day, my boat flipped. There was no one around to save me. And guess what? I swam." Meera frowned. "But you just said you didn't know how." "Exactly," he replied. "No one told me I could. No one told me I couldn't. I just had to try." He stood up and walked away, leaving Meera alone with her thoughts. The next morning, something shifted. Meera stood straighter. She took a deep breath and approached each customer with more confidence even when she was unsure. She listened, asked questions, and learned. She made mistakes, but she didn't crumble. By the end of the 3rd day, she had repaired 6 vehicles, managed the cash, and even earned a compliment from a customer who said, "You're quiet, but you're good." When Ravi returned, he checked the books and looked around the shop. Everything was in order. He turned to Meera in surprise. "Did Priya cancel her trip?" "No," Meera said softly. "I handled it." Ravi stared at her for a moment, then smiled, really smiled. "I underestimated you," he said. "You're stronger than you look." Meera felt something warm rise inside her pride, not because others believed in her, but because, finally, she did. Moral of the story: confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. No one told Meera she couldn't do it, so she tried. Fear and self-doubt limit us, but when you step beyond your comfort zone, you discover a strength you didn't know you had. The world sees you as you choose to present yourself. Believe in yourself, even if no one else does.